I returned my neighbor's new laptop to the shipping office. My neighbor and I aren't friends, but we wave when passing in vehicles or walking. About a year ago, my wife had ordered something for one of our kids and it was delivered to the wrong house. Our house numbers and mailboxes are very similar and easy to confuse. Picture 668 and 688. After a couple days, I called and they sent me the photo taken of the box on my neighbor's porch, so I walked over to retrieve it and was told I brought it back to the shipping hub. I was heading in that direction anyway. When I asked why he didn't either text me or just walk next door, he didn't have an answer. Okay, very frustrating. It took 5 more days for our item to arrive, lol. Well, on Friday afternoon I'm WFH, and I see a box is delivered to my porch. I go out to get it, see it's his package. On the small return portion of the ship label it says Lenovo, 1-day rush, and the shipping sticker says like 31.39. My neighbor assumably ordered a laptop by the weight of it and rushed it over. I picked it up and went straight to the shipping center. After all my errands were done, so I was walking in at 4:50. Didn't want to risk they would try to re-deliver it before end of day. Yesterday he comes over with the photo of the box on my front deck to ask if I have his box and that it's important, and I respond I brought it back to be re-delivered. He looks almost enraged and says why. I said that's the exact same question I asked you when you did it previously. Just thought this was what you wanted going forward. LOL. He was walking down my driveway, shaking his head extra dramatically, but what's good for one should be good for all, no. Never ceases to amaze me when people can't understand they can't cross the bridge they burned. If he can't figure it out, he is pretty dense. I like the walking in at 4:50 part. The best thing you could have done. Make them feel the same frustration they gave you. No remorse. This is the canonical example of petty revenge. YA, fuck that guy. Fafo. This is perfection. He set a precedent and you just followed his example. I wish there was still fake Reddit trophies to give because you, sir, are my hero. Here, take this 1 foot. Very nice. He set the rules, you just followed them. If he doesn't like the results, that is 100 on him. By the way, instead of the shipping office, you could have caused an increased delay by dropping it off at one of the shipping places like a mailbox center or Walgreen, so it then had to first be collected by the shipping company before going back for sorting, etc. You should have told him yours was cancer drugs. Narcissists never realize that they started the war, they're always just victims once it starts. I have a package for a neighbor sitting in my house. It was 45 XXX street. Problem is that such a number doesn't exist. Looked up the name and she is 48. I'll bring it over when I go shopping later. Haha, this is a great story, but I hope you didn't just start a war which will only end when one of you moves away. Yes. Best thing I've read. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. My grandmother always said. The fucking balls to get angry when it's done to him. Wow. Consequence is a fine teacher. Same with far FO. I can't stand people who act upset when you treat them exactly the same way they treat you. Asshole. But this is his inconvenience we are talking about there. It is so much more important than anything else anyone else has going on in their life. And just like that, the neighbor found out karma is a real thing. Well played. Maybe I'm wrong, but I would have brought it to the neighbor right away and said, see me bringing this to you. Please do the same for me should the situations be reversed. Have a good day. They are your neighbors you have to see, repeatedly. Not strangers. You should make the attempt to be on good terms. My neighbors think I'm the weirdo in the hood, but we all look out for each other. I.e. your garage is still open when it's 10 p.m. or, I have your mail or your dog got out and I have them. They watch out for each other's kids too. Should have sat on it for a couple of extra days and then taken it back. Beautiful. Excellent, petty revenge. A shining victory. You did good and taught him some self-awareness. Well, hopefully you did. So did the neighbor actually return your package to the depot, or did they just say they did and keep it? I would have shipped it to fucking Timbuktu. Not the asshole. My neighbor 4 doors down received my package one time. His wife opened it without looking at the addressee. He brought it to my place right away and apologized for it being opened. They are good neighbors. Good. I would have done that too. But your neighbor, as he's walking away, mumbles 2 words. It's on. Get some security cameras. You have a complete idiot for a neighbor. Like you said, it was okay for him to do that, but not okay for you. I would have done the same. Pretty rare for this kind of circumstance to come, ain't it? It's almost like a shower thought. I once had someone at my door announcing they were shutting my water off for non-payment. The address he cited was the same house number, and we abutted a shared street. They were on that street while we are on the corner. Anyway, I pointed right at that house and he eventually left. What if I hadn't been home? I agree with PP about painting something or putting up a sign with a distinct phrase that you note for every delivery. I have always walked it over until they wouldn't extend me the same courtesy and also lied and kept my stuff. I will burn that bridge to ashes. Touch your neighbors thick as a brick. Gar on N. You don't set the standards, you just abide by them. If he doesn't like the honks, he shouldn't have created Clown World. Satisfying, but unwise. Tit-for-tat stuff like this can lead to a feud, and if your neighbor has a grudge on you, it can be a pain in the ass. I used to work for a local government, and pairs of feuding neighbors would get us involved in all kinds of petty shit. Reporting work without permits. Property maintenance complaints. Etc. Better to swallow your pride and keep your neighbor off your back, in my opinion. It was an opportunity to demonstrate your higher moral caliber and fix the situation going forward. Now you'll be in the FedEx wars. Love it. You are so fortunate to get the opportunity to help. On can't even hope to have this happen to them. Yep. Nice move lol. Karma is a bitch lol. Yes, love this revenge. While he was shaking his head, you should have said have a good evening now. I mean, he set the precedent. Enjoy lol. Perfect example of the golden rule. Well played. I can imagine the absolute glee in finally being able to take that revenge. My neighbor kept my package. Thank God it was something small and Amazon replaced it. But he's been a jackass since the day I moved in, so I'm not surprised. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Mr. Magoo delivers our mail. Something is wrong a couple times a week. We carry mail packages down to their destinations, but one neighbor doesn't. He writes not at this address on it and leaves it in the mailbox for Mr. Magoo. Magoo reads not at this address and returns the item to the sender, a bank. Banker sees not at this address and decides we've moved. Stops all snail mail. We wonder why no bank stuff arrives after a couple months. Bank wants proof that we live in our home. Moral delivered to the wrong address is more descriptive than not at this address. As petty as it gets. Hopefully you still wave at each other. You guys were on good terms, so I doubt there was malice in what he did. Probably an airhead moment. But now things are different. Let's hope you didn't start a war. You won the most petty award. Bravo. Petty revenge surely, but I would have brought it over and told him that this is the way good neighbors behave and take pleasure in that. Also better for future, I guess, since this will happen again. Golden rule.